New videos every day.
Okay, this is Athena Jezik, and to continue with our lymphatic work that we're doing today, I'm going to work on the legs and show you a little bit of what's going on with the legs. When you get to the legs, in the routine for lymphatic work, you will start always with the left leg. You work around the body this way, but then the left leg is the next one to do. So the drainage is already happening. The avenues are open in a regular routine of lymphatic work. So to start with the legs, the next part is to drain everything to go into there's a node deep in here into the deeper system and then up so that it can be filtered back through. What you'll find is a lot of problems with a lot of people who have jobs that tend to sit more with swelling or very slow flow of lymphatic fluid in the lower legs, because at the part of the inguinal there's like a loop that has to be made for the system, the shallow, the superficial system, and the deep system. So when we sit a lot where our legs are bent, and in that area, particularly if there's tight jeans on or tight elastic in that area, it will tend to restrict somewhat the flow of the lymph. Therefore, people will have more tendency towards swelling in the ankles. Swelling in the ankles does not always come from something so simple. Sometimes there's more complicated things going on, and sometimes it's medical things that are pretty serious. So particularly when there's pitting. So if you see pitting going on in the ankles and it doesn't seem to want to drain well after a couple sessions of it, then it may be something that's much more serious. So you may want to have that person be checked out by the medical profession. So I oftentimes, what I always do actually, is I just put my hand on to feel the flow. This is called mapping, and I can't really explain how this works in this video. As my teaching videos get produced, there's going to be a lot more involvement in how to do these techniques, so they will be available hopefully soon. There's a lot of work doing that. But what I'm doing here is just mapping, and I'm feeling the flow, and for the most part the flow is pretty good. It doesn't have a strong current, but it's not bad. There is movement in it and it is flowing. So for the most part the lymphatic system is working in her. So we start out by doing flat hand right up into the inguinal area, and you do kind of an inward and upward pressing. You start right about there, and then you move a little bit closer in, and it's all in a very delicate area, but you're not violating anything here. Then going into the inner thigh, there's a lot of nodes in this inguinal area that need to be drained. Sometimes it'll feel like a little bit of a washboard in there. As the fluids drain out, it's been my experience to feel that it smooths itself out. The washboard feeling then doesn't feel so washboardy. I interpret that as fluids that are stuck in various tissues. I'm not really sure what it is, but it's not flowing very well, and it does change as the fluids begin to move. So here we're just going to go down to the knee. There's a long chain of lymph nodes in the inner thigh, and those are the ones that we want to drain into the inguinal area and then have that process out. So we're going to move up into this again and then into the inguinal. Then you take your hand along and you want to give the skin stretching in the direction of that inguinal node area. And this is, like I say, this is a difficult thing to show on a short video, because there's a lot of components to actually getting the technique correct under the hands, the pressure, the direction, and all of that. But this should give you some idea, and especially those of you who are already working in the field, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to experiment with. See what you come up with. So here I am rinsing now, going back up and rinsing this area. and this is pumping, and I'm right here into this area. Okay, and then as we go back down, we're going to drain one more, and we'll get a rinse at the very end. And even though her system is basically working well, there's going to be still an improvement of the lymph flow as we open up any little blockages or restrictions. Now here I'm underneath, behind the knee. There's popliteal nodes back there, and it's just the same thing. It's the skin stretching. I like to stop sometimes along and not do complete just lymph, and I check the kneecap. I like to check the motion of the kneecap. Sometimes it'll be kind of sticky, so I'll drain around it, and then it'll loosen up. This is a real good kneecap. This is all indicating that things are working pretty well. When there's a lot of movement, a lot of fluidity, that's what we want. We don't want a body that's stuck with a lot of stasis and a lot of, lack of movement, lack of flow, lack of feeling like things are pliable. And then we just work down the leg with the little skin stretching in the direction that it's going to be moving, or that it needs to move, down into the ankle, same type of thing. And then with the foot, sometimes when the lymph is moving very, very well, I'm not quite as thorough about every little piece because it doesn't take so much to get it moving. It's already moving, so to just give it a little help. And that's the case here. Sometimes when there's a lot of congestion in the lymph system, I stay on an area, opening it, rinsing it, opening it, rinsing it, opening it, rinsing it, opening it, rinsing it several times, just to get it to move to where I feel like there's enough flow to make a difference. So here I'm going to go back up the leg, rinsing it, and I'm also going to get my hands a little bit down into the calf area. The calf will wrap around and it drains up this direction, so it's kind of a pull around and up. So the directional stuff, that's where a good lymphatic diagrams would be good to look at if you're going to work with any of this, even just at a local kind of area level. Again, reminding you that when there's tight muscles, oftentimes the lymph is very congested. So to have the ability to be able to move the fluid out of that area is helpful. I think it gives greater results. There's so many little tricks to do that make the work easier as well as more effective. So here what I'm feeling is the nodes here have filled up a great deal from the lower limbs, and it's draining out well into the other areas. And then the other leg, same thing. So here on the other leg, there's kind of an issue here with camera angle. So here we are, we're going to be draining upward, inward, upward and inward here. And this leg oddly feels a little bit tighter. And then moving the hands to that chain, there's a little bit of washboard feeling here at this inguinal area. It's not too bad. The lymphatic system is something that we should really pay close attention to. It's the sewer system of the body. It carries debris out. It also carries proteins and other things through it for nutritional needs. It's a system that isn't really well understood by a lot of medical people, although they are changing some of the things that they do. They don't remove chains of nodes quite like they did at one time. And here I'm going in the opposite direction for the sake of the camera angle, but it's a skin stretch, and you can maybe see the skin pulling up. It's actually very good, and when the skin moves like this, that's a very good indication that the fluids are moving very well underneath. It's when you get that tight kind of skin that doesn't really move well, kind of like, the back of a dolphin. That's congested lymph, and that can be changed with some lymphatic work. But this, you can see maybe how the skin is stretching, and all of that is stimulating the vessels to begin to flow. And here at this, the washboard effect is already changed. So her system is very good. Go down, check the popliteal, and the kneecap is moving very well. So there's no issue there. Come around this way and under the kneecap. And then, this is a really good system working here. There's a lot of movement in that skin. So when I get work people like that and they're moving that well, the work goes much quicker, and usually they're with me for an hour, and if I get through the lymphatic stuff in about, half hour or 40 minutes, then I usually add cranial sacral work at the end, which really leaves people in a very, very nice state of being. And it's this sort of thing that is going to make a difference in how you heal and just how your body is going to respond to different things. But if you want a strong immune system, keeping the lymphatic system well functioning is very important for all of that to work well. There are some immune cells that like to be in the lymph nodes catching anything that's coming through, any of that debris. And if the lymph nodes are congested, then those cells are unable to do what they need to do. And that would make sense because the lymphatic fluid will turn very gelatinous if it's not moving well. It will be kind of like jello. And then at that point, then everything is stopped up. And that's when you begin to get more edemic, pitting kind of things, when it's totally congested to the point that there's no flow. So now to map, and come back around, putting my hand on here, I can feel a stronger flow, and what it feels like is little tributaries moving up the leg, little tributaries pulling this water, and it's a strong current. It's stronger than before, even though she has a strong system. There has been improvement in the system. And we all do get taxed in our lymphatic system, particularly if our diets are not very good, because there's so many additives in food. If we take medications, then we're going to be a little more congested too, because the lymphatic system is working to process a lot of the toxin. Okay, so there's some lymphatic work. I hope that gave you a little bit more understanding. And this is Athena Jezik.